Hey, hello, and greetings to the Great Conscious family. Greetings to everyone who has started in some way a path of spirituality. Because once we wake up our consciousness, we can never go back to being the same or doing the same things we used to do. It's like waking up from a dream. Once you are awake, you cannot choose to fall back into the same dream again. Besides, I send hugs to everyone who feels this call to walk a path that is sometimes lonely, because we know it is a call from our all soul, inviting us to begin this journey toward our true self. And I have to say, I feel thankful, I feel grateful that lately I find myself more surrounded. I feel surrounded by more and more people who take on the big responsibility of creating the change we want to see in the world. And together we are building this conscious community. And that is why this channel is called Unity 13. Today, with tonight's new moon, we stand at the beginning of a new lunar cycle, the month of Av in the Hebrew calendar, linked to the energy of Leo in the study of Kabbalistic astrology. This cosmic doorway is called Rosh Chodesh, which means head of the month or the start of the month. And we can think Rosh Chodesh holds the first thought of the month, or the seed that grows into everything that happens during the next weeks. This new cycle marks the start of a set of cosmic influences that touch different levels of our being. I mean, the physical level, the emotional, the intellectual, and the spiritual levels. And as a result, all of this also touches another level, the global level, linked to the idea of the unity. Because what happens inside one person also ripples back but into a wider world. On the physical world level, or in the physical level, we can think about the weather because weather changes what we do and how we live. For example, in the summer, no one wears a heavy winter coat, and in winter, no one wears shorts and sandals. In the same way, each lunar month dresses us differently on inside. On the emotional level, we also react differently depending on the reason, on the season. Almost like our mood changes with the weather. On the intellectual level, some months are better for learning or being creative, while other months are better for slowing down, reflecting, and meditating. And all of this also shows up at collective level in society as a whole because many seasons and celebrations, sorry, I'm losing my voice. I have to drink some coffee. So I was saying that some celebrations were set long ago by ancient traditions tied to a specific time of the year. At the start of this lunar cycle, the one beginning tonight with the new moon, we find astral influences that, even though they come from ancient history, took different shapes in different cultures across the northern hemisphere. It is a bit like different countries having different words for the same fruit. The fruit is the same, but the name changes. And in the same way, these cultures often describe the same energy, just using different names and stories. And I have been explaining these lunar cycles through the study of Kabbalah, but over the last few months, I have come to understand that this shared astral knowledge found across so many cultures is really nothing more than the observation of life and its many forms in relationship with nature. It is like different farmers in different parts of the world, all noticing that plants grow better in spring. They didn't copy each other, they simply observed the same natural pattern. Even after thousands of years of studying the stars, it is we, as human beings, who create attitudes, thoughts, and cosmovisions tied to each astral cycle, trying to explain a set of these traits within their corresponding periods, sometimes through theories, or some other times through holy scriptures. And this is why we give more weight to certain historical events. We place a shared symbolic meaning on a specific date, and even when its historical accuracy is not fully confirmed. Someone at some point decided to mark that day, and we kept marking it generation after generation. I don't want to attack anyone's belief with this. I only want to invite you, as people capable of reasoning and inquire, to notice something simple. Every time we celebrate an historical event, we don't only give it meaning in the present moment, we reinforce that meaning year after year, almost like watering a plant again and again, so it keeps growing. And even if the event might or might not have truly happened exactly that way, we keep carrying forward in our shared imagination. This is why, as we enter the month of Ab, the month of Leo, what I want to share today is really a set of questions I asked myself about this period. A period that brings, in the Hebrew traditions, the strongest polarity of the year between good and evil and between love and hate. We can think of it like a rope with two ends being pulled in opposite directions at the same time. And that tension is what this month carries. Many teachers of astrology and Kabbalah have already pointed that this lunar cycle is linked to the constellation of Leo, the Sun, the element of fire, and the lion. But it is through the deeper tools of Kabbalah, like the Hebrew letters or the Tree of Life, that we study in a deeper way how each of these elements connect to this moment, the position of the stars, and the human behaviors during this specific period. And I explain this in more detail in my ebook on the Leo moon cycle. In that ebook, I also explained that within the Hebrew tradition, the month of Leo, or Av, is part of a 21-day period called Bein Metzarim, which covers the last 12 days of Cancer and the first 9 days of Leo, which means the 9 days we are about to enter right now, since tomorrow. But the last day of that period, known as Tisha B'Av, is traditionally seen as the most negative day of the year, a day of mourning and fasting in the Hebrew tradition. But in the study of Kabbalah, it is also linked to the day of the angel of death. But only 6 days later, on the full moon of the same cycle, is celebrated the most positive day of kindness and love, known as Tu B'Av. Because of these two events, this same cycle holds a big contrast where good and evil, love and hate exist side by side, almost like a coin with two faces that never separate. And in this video, I want to focus on these two poles. And this bring me a question about this tradition. How is it possible that this moon cycle can be linked to the energy of the dead? And I believe the answer has to do with three things happening in an energetic way during these days. Three things that we can clearly identify. One, the solar energy released at the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. Two, the link between each person's soul and their personal sun. And three, the way we connect to the sun's quality, either as the center of the system or as a source of life. And let's start with the solar energy, with the explanation of the summer solstice that happens around June 21st and marks the start of the period with the strongest solar energy in the northern hemisphere. From what day on, the sunlight slowly decreases until the next solstice, I mean in winter. But here is something very interesting. The days with the strongest solar head don't happen exactly on the solstice. They happen later, around in August, and this links our current period back to the month before. In English, this stretch is very hot days. Is sometimes called the dog days of summer. In Spanish, it's called canícula. In the Cancer month before Av or Leo, we go through a period of strong emotional intensity where it's easy to connect with an emotion of high or low vibration depending on which station you tune into. I mean, depending with what emotion you connect with. For example, when we tune into low vibration emotions, um, hate, anger, distress, depression, we create an acid environment inside us that wakens the immune system and makes illness more likely. In Kabbalah, it's said that most illnesses come from emotional imbalance, including the illness of cancer illness. And this reminds me of a well-known scene from the Star Wars when the Jedi Council tests young Anakin Skywalker, and Master Yoda warns him about the danger of the fear. And he tells him that fear can lead to the hate, hate can lead to anger, and anger can lead to suffering. And I believe the period of Bain and Metzarin is especially prone to that same path if we are not aware of it. Because hot days, we tend to become more irritable, impatient, or intolerant, almost like a pot of water what is close to boiling, where just a little more heat makes a spill over. And it's worth remembering that Anakin himself grew up in a desert planet under a burning sun, which may explain why he learned toward those he was driven by those same hot emotions. But now back to the second point, the explanation of the second point, the link between the sun of the soul. The body part linked to Leo in this lunar cycle is the heart, which is connected to our emotions. And from the Kabbalistic view, there are only two primary emotions, love and fear. All other emotions grow out of these two, like branches growing out of two main roots. Emotions linked to love create an expansive energy, like a balloon filling with air. From this primary emotion come understanding, acceptance, care, kindness, and love for creation and for everything that has been created. On the other hand, fear has a constricting or limiting nature. Like a fist closing tight, from fear comes anger, hate, violence, and the need to control everything. And the third point comes from this same split, the connection to our soul, the connection of our soul or our emotions to one of the two solar qualities. Either the sun's quality of expanding energy as a source of light or life, or the quality of seeing ourselves selfishly as the center of the system, wanting everything to revolve around us so that we control everyone and everything. And this second quality lines up with the fear based emotion already mentioned. Our soul's connection to selfish desire grows stronger during this hot period. In the same period we are beginning now, which is linked more directly to the sun and the strongest solar intensity of the year. These same emotions can settle in more strongly. Then the intensity of the sun can create irritation, intolerance, which show up as hate and destructive emotion in how we treat others. This is exactly the historical marker of the month of the 9th of Ab, the day the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed because of a kind of hate that grew within the people of Israel from inside out. And keeping things in proportion, we can connect this to what we are living through together right now. I mean, on a global scale, because right now are happening a series of events and conflicts that clearly cause divisions and confrontations. And with this, I now understand something that one of my teachers once said, that he stopped posting on social media because the most views or followers you have, the more messages bringing bringing conflict and hate filled comments that are fed and multiplied by platforms algorithms. And this happens even when you have the best intentions, simply because someone will always think they know more than you, or feel upset that you didn't mention something they consider important, or simply they see the world through a different mindset. And all that means intolerance. And I said that mm, nine of Leo is linked in Kabbalah to the energy of the dead, or the angel of the dead. And another question is how is possible for this to happen in a single day just because the stars are in a certain position? And I think it helps to picture the emotional process I already described as a kind of slow rust on the heart. Like little by little, this rust starts to cover our true self, dimming our shine and our sense of purpose. It usually begins with the fear of being hurt, and without even noticing, we start to shut down parts of our own essence. But to understand the energy of death uh, more clearly, I think we first need to have a broader idea what death actually is and what is an angel. And here I want to say, in a broad sense, that is the moment when something stops existing in the form and the traits it had before. And the angel, or an angel more than an entity with wings, is really a translation of the word that means divine messenger or messenger of God. And with this in mind, uh, we could say that the angel of death is the divine messenger who tells us, sadly, most of the time through pain, when something stopped existing in the form it had before. This doesn't apply only to biological life. It applies to anything or any situation that once existed in a certain way and no longer does. It could be a job that ended, a friendship that changed, or a version of yourself that have outgrown. This is why I say that when we don't accept a new reality, that change from something that once existed in a certain form, and we keep longing for it, we are, in a way, worshipping the energy of death, longing for something that has already stopped existing. This can be about life itself, but also about health, our relationship, or any kind of loss. And according to Kabbalah, on that specific day, the angel of death receives all the energy that can affect a human being for the coming year or cycle. Energy is strong enough to change us forever. I believe this is closely tied to the symbolism of the sun as a representation of the heart and the soul of each person. It is a process that begins, as I said, with emotional imbalances that slowly settle into the soul. This period allows feeling of hate, anger, and frustration to build up, reaching their peak on the night of the ninth day of Leo. And this is why Kabbalistics recommend that during these 21 days, and especially the last day of this period, in the day 9 of Leo, we are advised to avoid arguing or fighting. I mean, in all the periods, but especially that day, we have to avoid arguing or fighting, avoid needing to always be right, avoid putting ourselves in risky situations, and avoid at all costs falling into anger, rage, or selfish desire. This is because the consequences of our actions tend to come more quickly during this time, bringing swift judgment. And this happened because during this period, our inner sun, represented by the heart or the highest part of our soul, can express itself in its rawest, unfiltered form instead of showing up in its higher corrected form. I mean love. And that's exactly the energy that shows up in the 15th day of Leo, to be up, the day of love and soulmates. If a person manages to reach that state of loving vibration, they will naturally attract loving feeling from the people around them, simply because that's they are radiating. The same way a lit candle naturally draws attention in a dark room, in this way a person is calling their soulmate through this energetic connection. This is shown symbolically by the sun, the personal heart of the soul, reaching its strongest, most expansive light when it is held in a vessel that can contain it or reflect it, like the full moon, which fully reflects the sun's energy back, almost like another form of love. In this way, whoever receives that light also has the ability to receive with love what the other person has to give. This is what is known as altruistic receiving with the same generosity with which something was given. Either way, I believe one of the best practice for personal growth during these two closely linked months, I mean Cancer and Leo, is first of all returning to the essence of our personal soul, recognizing our individual gifts truly are. In other words, discovering our true personal sun and strengthening that energy so that it serves our own good, the good of others, in benefit of others, and the good of the creation itself. I understand this is I understand this as the fullest expression of our sun in its expansive quality. And because of everything I just shared, I want to let you know that this year, starting the starting since the 12th day of Leo or up, that is next Sunday, July 26th, I will be sharing a new series of talks about the celebration known as Tubiab, the Day of Love and Soulmates. And I also want to announce that in my wish to give and spread love during this month cycle, I am sharing my ebooks for the month of Cancer and the month of Leo completely free with all of you. You can download them through the link in the description of this video. In those books, you will find a deeper explanation of this Kabbalistic study connected with other fields of knowledge. And I am also leaving a link in case you would like to make a donation, which helps me creating this kind of content. It is always welcome, and I am grateful. I am grateful for the intention. With this, I only have to see you soon in the next talk about the Day of Love and Soulmates. And I want to thank you and see you in the next time.